What's up, everyone? Here I am at Metroflex Oceanside. I just finished my back workout. I'm sweaty, I'm tired, but I'm still going to record some things for all of you because something that I have been consistently thinking about over and over again as I've been working with people and just as I've been observing people is the battle of the traps and the lats, the trapezius and the latissimus dorsi. So when we look at the shape of the back, that X frame, okay, it is so critical for us to train ourselves with every exercise as if it were a skill to engage our lats, our latissimus dorsi. That is what really creates that X frame. But all too often I see people doing a lot of the general basic back exercises and heavily recruiting the traps, the trapezius. So I'm gonna show you and illustrate for you why that is and give you some ideas of how to disengage the traps and try to engage the lats. The first thing that I want to do is go over back anatomy because in order for us to target the right muscles, we want to make sure that we understand what areas that we are truly trying to target. So we must go over the anatomy. I want to go over the large areas that are primarily targeted when we do any type of back exercise. So first of all, we have the trapezius. That takes up the large portion right around our neck area. And then the large portion below that is the latissimus dorsi, the part that gives us that V. Then we have the rhomboids right laying underneath the traps. And then we have the teres major, the teres minor that give us that sweep right above the latissimus dorsi. What I really want to focus on is the overdevelopment of the traps and how that can directly impact the overall V-taper of the back that we're trying to create. So here I'm going to illustrate side by side. The trapezius muscle group is right around the neck area. And when that area is too developed, what happens is we create more of a slope from the neck to the shoulders, okay? Alternatively, we want to develop what you see, the teal area section on the right. That area is what will really fan out the back and create that beautiful line of a V. Let's create that back. Any back exercise that you do will most likely fit into one of two categories, either pulling down or rowing from the front. Between these two examples, the pulling and the rowing, I will be able to illustrate for you the different parts of the back that we want to focus on and how to make them effective. So first of all, let's talk about what goes wrong when it comes to a lat pull down. I'm showing an example of a lat pull down from the midline. Here we have pulling down, rolling the shoulders forward, and this takes out, right away, it takes out the latissimus dorsi. That's out of the equation. Maybe there's a little bit of engagement, but most of the engagement is going to be coming from the traps when you pull your neck up and roll your shoulders forward, and that makes this movement very trap dominant. That's what we want to avoid when we pull down and we want to create that V shape, okay? So how can we connect to the V? The way that we do that is we're going to want to roll the shoulders back, Okay, that's step number one. That takes the neck as much out of the equation as we possibly can make it out of the equation. You're still going to get some trap engagement, but we want to try to disengage it as much as we possibly can. You're going to pull your elbows down, making sure they come right under your wrists. And this way, we have a lot of the engagement is going to be coming from the teres major and teres minor and the latissimus dorsi. Here's the latissimus dorsi, and then right above that, we have the teres major, teres minor, and that comes right under your armpits. This is the part of the back that we want to be really engaging when we do any lat pull down, any version of this movement. That's what we want to recruit, taking out the traps as much as possible. Okay, so now what goes wrong when it comes to a row? This row example, I'm going to show you how this movement really engages the traps. Okay, when we pull the neck into the equation, roll the shoulders forward, what happens is you can see that the latissimus dorsi is pretty much off and our traps are really pulling us through the movement. Okay, this is a lot of attention spent on the neck area, shoulders rolled forward, and as you can see, there's very little to no engagement in the latissimus dorsi or the teres major, teres minor. Okay, we want to avoid doing it like this unless you want to just build really big traps and have neck problems. Now, let me show you, how can we connect to the V? How do we do that? Okay, first of all, we want to open up the chest. And when you pull and accelerate, you really want to make sure that the shoulders are back and down away from the ears. This is how we connect to the latissimus dorsi, as well as connecting a little bit to the teres major and teres minor. That is exactly the part of the back that we want to always be focused on. Again, you see there is a little bit of trap recruitment here, but we want to X that out of the equation as much as we can by opening the chest and pulling the shoulders back. Okay, now let's talk posing. Okay, one more thing, and that is posing. So one thing about the way that you train your back is whatever muscle group is turning on every time you train your back, that's the muscle group that you're gonna end up recruiting when you try to pose. So even more importantly, do we want to recruit the lats, which is what's going to fan out your back and make it look really, really wide. So I'm gonna kind of show you the difference between when we pose and primarily engage the traps versus when we pose and we primarily engage the lats, okay? Here we go. First up is how we make ourselves look more narrow, which is not the goal. We don't want to look more narrow. But by pulling the shoulders up and disengaging the latissimus dorsi, we really do create more of a narrow shape, and we can combat that. We can do something about that. Okay, that's what we're talking about right now. So to combat that, what we can do is we start from the ground up and we inflate our rib cage, just like you're blowing up a balloon, okay? And you take your traps out of the equation as much as possible. Let's just kind of go over the anatomy of the back and what we really want to focus on. So right here in red, this is the trapezius, okay? That's what we want to try to stay away from when we're opening up our back as much as possible. So here, right under the armpits, this is the teres major, and then right above that is the teres minor. That's what gives you those pretty bubbly shapes right under the armpits. That's part of the fan out. And then the rhomboids right in the middle, we want to kind of try to keep those out of the equation too. Those lie right underneath the trapezius. They're going to be a little bit of recruitment with the rhomboids and the trapezius, of course, but from the ground up, this is the big dog. This is the muscle we really want to focus on, the latissimus dorsi. So we inflate the latissimus dorsi and we let that energy flow all the way up to the teres major, teres minor, and let everything else just rest right on top. And that is how we create that V shape and display it on stage.